Good morning. Hope you're all are well on this Sunday morning. And I'm Denise Dryden. I want to talk to you today a little bit about multidimensional parenting, and take the parenting piece. And if you're not a parent, you could do grandparenting. If this isn't in the parent-child relationship dynamic, then you can turn it into partnership. You can turn it into leadership. You can turn it into any kind of relationship and let's just play with this because what we're really doing is we're holding multidimensional or multidimensionality out here as a tool and or as an awareness and a tool that's sort of showing up all the time now. So how do we hold that information of multidimensionality and look at skills and tools that help us with that, right? So I guess first and foremost is that I've been coaching and working with young adults and adolescent families, parent systems since '95. So I have a lot of experiences in watching these creative, multidimensional attention deficit, spectrumy kind of kids, and looking at how to teach parents ways to work more honestly and more successfully with these children. So that's been, what I'm doing is building an awareness of new perspectives. Constantly looking at new perspectives on what if it's this? And if it's this, then how do we approach it differently? And again, supporting it with tools and skills, which is ways to watch the volume of your voice, the over management, the paying attention to sensitivities, things like that. So since the late '70s and early '80s, we've been on this trajectory of a frequency that's bringing phenomenal changes, and it's been bringing changes first and foremost into the family system, then into the education systems, then into the workforce, the religions in our world. So our children are starting to, and starting with us, those of us who were born during this period of time, who were raised during this period of time, you'll notice that you have increasing sort of upgrades, awarenesses, and you're learning how to do things differently. I'm going to call that multidimensional. Also, it can be from a perspective of 5D, other dimensions beyond the 3D. Let's put it that way, right? So what we're looking at is addressing higher levels of empathic skills and sensitivities, abilities to read or work with energy. We're starting to see more children who have inborn clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant skill sets. So get to know the clairs, right? Their pineal gland is wide open. They're born with memories. They know who they are and where they came from. They have an inner knowing. They have psychic skills that we're looking at them and going, how did you know that? Because we don't necessarily we haven't cultivated that. Or I should say that most parents in our world at this point haven't cultivated an awareness of psychic skills. And so when it shows up in their child, they're like, where'd that come from? And that these children of ours, whether they're 25 and under, 18 and under, 10 and under, they have a very rich life beyond the 3D. So their dreams, their visions, their interactions, their ability to see energies in the room and things like that are so much more complete than ours are, right? So as a parent, again, partner, boss, guide to the multidimensional, I guess there's a couple things that I want to sort of lay out there first. One is that this is a collaborative relationship. This isn't you teaching them. This is you witnessing them teaching you. So it's give and take both ways. Everything that you are seeing and learning from them, you have something to share to them, and they have something to share with you. So it's a collaborative relationship. It's not a parent child or a boss employee. There's no ranking and there's no what I want to say, status. So it's a very equal collaborative relationship. That learning is both ways. That we as the older ones know how to embody. We know how to navigate on the 3D. We know how to drive cars. We know how to make food. We know how to um, uh, create and present information. These are things that are really important to that 3D earth dense stuff, right? So we have skills to offer in this, but they know how to show us how to be less dense. They know how to show us how energy works, how visions come in, how to create something beyond what we know. And so, they're these wise masters. So they're here to teach us. They're here to teach us to trust our clairs. They're here to teach us wisdom. They're here to teach us remembering. They're here to teach us even how to get beyond energetic logger jams, like where some you come up against repetitive patterns and they're like, just let that one go. And we do that back and forth because, they're going to show some impatience with us. They're going to show some frustration at our limited attempts to go back at things that we've always known to be true from when we were little, right? Or when we were growing up, or what we've studied or what we've learned, which may be limited compared to what they know, right? So what worked for you, what likely won't work for them. That's something that we can say, like my idea that a home cooked meal and a nurturing homework schedule and a bath may not be something that is of value to this new child. It might, but it probably won't. There will be other things that come along. And so, keeping in mind that that cookie cutter sort of life that we grew up with, you go to school, um, you have family roles, you have grandparents, aunts, and uncles, you have extended family, you have relationships with adults. These are going to be very fluid and different than what we thought they would be. And it's going to need your attention and focus. So, when we're dealing with fluidity rather than boxed structure, what it means is that you really have to be present 24 hours a day. So this isn't you can phone it in the morning, send them off to school, pick them up at 3, deal with them, from 3 to 7 or 8, and then your life is over. Your parenting responsibilities are over. That life that you created of managing the child is over. There's no checking out. There is a 24-hour on call presence, because what you're doing is you're growing and changing and expanding, and so is the child. So it's kind of like you're always in this fluidity, and it can be exhausting if you're fighting it, and it can be very playful if you're not. So most adults, most bosses, most, put whatever person we want to put into who's come into this world and said, I've been practicing and I know how to do this, right? We're really unprepared for the attention that's needed for these children. So whether we have tight work schedules and we don't have a lot of flexibility, and we need flexibility because we might be up at night, we might be dealing with dreams and visions, and we aren't on the same sleep schedule, right? We may have to address school and options of like, wait a minute, I can't just drop my daughter off at daycare or preschool and then pick her up at a certain time. That's not working. So what are my other options? So school, education, childcare situations may not work the way that you thought they would. Um, you're going to have to look at leading the way or finding or creating, whatever you have to do, learning options or alternative options. Like, where can I put my child in front of someone with a lot of wisdom so that they feel seen and heard? Because I'm a little behind and I need to catch up, right? And letting go of the 24-hour time clock schedule is probably one of the biggest things that I found is necessary, because sometimes, like, you have a strict bedtime, you need X amount of sleep in order to perform in your job the next day, and that 24-hour clock does not stop. You're on during the day, you're on during the night, you're on during the weekends, and you're moving. So these are the things that we're going to have to pay more attention to. So I did an interview with or not interview, sort of more like a conversation. It was a collaborative conversation with Julia Balaz, and on these new energy kids. And she was bringing in galactic astrology and talking about timelines. And I was timelining these new energy kids, whether it's the indigos, the crystals, the rainbows, or the diamonds. And we had a blast. So if you go onto this YouTube, or on into any of my social media, you will see that conversation with Julia. I highly suggest you watch it. It's phenomenal. And in the last questioning with her, I discovered a platform for how to support and parent these new kids. And it's sort of giving me a focus towards how I can support you in the work that you do and the role that you play as a parent or as an adult in the changing world, right? So I have 4 points that I want to make that are sort of like tips, but they're really main points. And I want you to watch this a couple times and let this sink in. Because when we're talking about multidimensionality and we're talking about children who are taking us forward into the future and they're in charge, they're leading us where we need to go. Our role is to catch up with what is it that they know how to do and how to present in ways that are collaborative with them. So the first thing is we have to, and I've talked about this a lot, right? We have to have a very solid relationship with the truth. We have to know it in our body. We have to pay attention to the hidden parts of ourselves, maybe where secrets or lies or shames, have been there. And like, maybe you married someone, but you never really told them parts of your past, or you never really let anybody know what your childhood was really like, or that you secretly sneak out at work and have cigarettes or whatever, cigarettes, alcohol, whatever. These secrets, these lies, these things, they're uh, you're not hiding them. You're not hiding them from these children. So what we're looking at is where's places where you exaggerate, where you minimalize, where you manipulate, where your words and actions shape the world you're in, and they're detectable by these children, by your son, by your daughter, by your um, spouse, by your partner, by your boss. They're detectable and they're in your field, and you think that they can't see it. So you have to own your truth, and you have to be able to do something that speaks and represents your truth at all times. So that's the first easiest, that's a basic place to start, is you have to know truth and you have to have a relationship with truth. Comes from the indigo. The second is to understand that your body, your field, your energy, understand it and manage it energetically, because it's all about vibration. And so, vibration. Am I putting an agitation into the vibration, or am I putting calm? And so we want to pay attention to places where we're anxious, where we have anxious energy, where we have anger, where we have sort of looping and worry, mental perseveration, or even in my case, enthusiasm. I can come in really big and really happy and watch a highly sensitive child of mine just sort of go like, whoa, turn it down, mom. Right. So it's being aware of this vibration field and knowing that you can manage this and that you're not going to overwhelm your child or the people that you're with, that you can watch the cues and sort of watch how your vibration is matching and where it doesn't. So when with vibration, we're looking at resonance and dissonance. This is the crystal child. We're talking about 80s forward, late 80s, 90s forward. And this is where we have to be much more aware of our vibrational field. So relationship with truth and a clear understanding of our vibrational field. If we can do those two things, we take so much stress out of a relationship with a multidimensional child. Number 3, this is where it gets a lot more complex and and so refined and beautiful, which is, are you taking positions? Are you holding duality in your body, which is like, this is right and that is wrong. This is good and that is bad. This is yes, this is no. This is a political party I like. This is a political party I don't like. This, and where you just have this division line of something that you hold on one side and you don't accept on the other. What happens with that is that you separate. And so what is really necessary is this ability to go to the center and hold both and, which is, I don't have an opinion, or I don't have a position on this or that. I'm simply watching what happens, and I can comment and feel into both sides. Now, what that does when we can hold in the middle and we do the both and is that we're holding compassion in our body at all times. And for those that are way off on one side, pointing the finger on the other, we have compassion for them. Even if it's just a Ooh, sorry. Even if it's just a little off, right? We have compassion. So compassion and duality is the skill set that the rainbows brought in. So we start removing ourselves from those really extremes and we get more towards the center with our field open and our vibration, and we're navigating through this and letting things inform us so that we're not taking positions. This gives us a lot more fluidity. Okay. So that duality just has to go out the door. And all of this, and what I was imagining is that this is like a three-legged stool. That is the most important skill set, is to have our relationship with truth, to know that we're managing our vibration and that we are holding compassion and removing duality. Because what the platform at the very top of it, the most beautiful, I'm looking for my piece. I can't find it. I was going to show it to you. The most beautiful thing is at the top of it, as of 2008 and forward, we have these diamond children who hold unconditional love. Not just love, but unconditional love, which is they just love. They love you for who you are. They love you for what you do. They love you no matter what is in front of them. They just love. And so this is our newest challenge, is to learn how to love regardless. We don't have conditions on love. Hey, I love you you if you pl- uh, get good grades. I love you if you maintain our marriage. I love you if, and we could come up together with about 100 of these, where we have conditions on how we not just love, but relax our field open and allow love to be there. So if this issue of I have constraints on who I give love to and how I show love is is conditional, then these children, these beautiful diamonds, and all of this skill set that's built up to us from 2008 forward is like, how can you demonstrate love? How can you speak about love? How can you show love? How can you be love? And the opposite of love is detachment. And so, in some conversations I've been having over at the coffee shop with some of my friends, is that we're seeing a rise in ghosting. We're seeing a rise in detaching, just dropping lines and saying, "Psh, that person's not even worth closure in a conversation, ending something, nothing. I'm just going to like quit and walk away from dating, from relationships, from jobs, from interests, from groups, right? So the opposite of love is detachment. And so if it's a cedar, it's a teeter totter, and you can see it, tipping both ways. How do you put it over here on the side of love and let go of this sort of harsh detachment, which is, I'm afraid of love. I don't even know how to open it up. So that's our challenge as parents in multidimensional um, parenting, is to realize that these pieces, our field, our truth, our ability to hold compassion, and our ability to understand where we close up and where we open up with love, allows all of the dimensions, all the perspectives, all of the pieces of dimensionality to exist, because it's more fluid. And that's what this is. So this is what I'm coaching. So if you are interested in doing a deep dive for 6 weeks into something like this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for very enthusiastic um, parents who know that this is the challenge that they're facing and want to just refine their own tools. So you can find me on denisdryden.com, and there's other links and other videos that you can watch if you want to learn more about me. Meanwhile, have a great Sunday, and I will talk to you next week. Okay? You take care. Bye bye.